Good morning, dear friends. Hello to those of you joining this morning on YouTube and Facebook, and to the Zoomers that have this beautiful picture of Ruth Dennison at my wedding. So, coming back to there we are. How's the sound this morning? Can you hear me okay? Yay. Well, it's another day. You may hear some wind, some luffing of the tent this morning. There's quite a bit of wind. Seems to be settling down now with sunrise. Another day waking up and the miracle of consciousness returning. I'm going to continue today, after the meditation, to take another step on the journey of awakening, that model that I've created the images for, and I hope you'll find that very interesting and helpful. And there's an underlying... I should introduce myself. I'm Robert Beatty. I'm the founder and guiding teacher of the Portland Insight Meditation Community, the Portland on the west coast of the United States. And this is a broadcast from the PIMC West in the tent in my backyard in Beaverton. And I'm not sure how long we'll be doing this. We'll be doing this because of COVID. The governor talked about opening some things up. Though getting back into the center will be quite a while, I think, because of the social distancing issues that would be there. But we'll see. Anyway, I like to begin with a poem. Mary Oliver again. It's called Stillness. Today I'm flying low, and I'm not saying a word. I'm letting all the voodoos of ambition sleep. The world goes as it must. Hang on. I'm going to start again. So this poem today is from Mary Oliver. Stillness. Today I'm flying low and I'm not saying a word. I'm letting all the voodoos of ambition sleep. The world goes as it must. The bees in the garden rumbling a little, the fish leaping, the gnats getting eaten, and so forth. But I'm taking the day off. Quiet as a feather. I hardly move, though I'm really traveling a terrific distance. Stillness. One of the doors into the temple. Today, I'm flying low, and I'm not saying a word. I'm letting all the voodoos of ambition sleep. The world goes as it must. The bees in the garden rumbling a little, the fish leaping, the gnats being eaten, and so forth. But I am taking the day off. Quiet as a feather, I hardly move, though really I'm traveling a great distance. Stillness, one of the doors into the temple. Ooh. Refuge. Where shall I take refuge in a world that is as unstable as this one? We have so much fear because things change so much. There are those who say that the root of all anxiety is the fear of death. And if we dare to turn and face into that fear of death, everything changes. But how can we do that? We need somewhere to lean, a hand to hold. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya. Stillness. Stillness and the recognition of consciousness and all the objects of consciousness. There is something miraculous happening here. We don't notice because it's the water we swim in. You remember the old story about asking the fish about water, and they say, "Water, you're out of your mind. There's no such thing. It's just this, my life." Well, there is sitting here a body, and there is something that knows of this body. There's consciousness. And we can't directly experience, we can't look at consciousness, we can't focus on it, but it's there. It's what knows. And this training is a training of mind, a training of consciousness. And it is very much a training. We are part of the earth. We are part of an ecological system. Our system itself is an ecological system. And so we practice bhavana, it's the word in Sanskrit. And bhavana we translate as meditation, and it means cultivation. We're cultivating something. Central among our cultivation phenomena is mindfulness. Then there's also concentration. So let's land here now, sitting comfortably upright. How do you know you're alive? What are the symptoms of this life? Among them are sensations in the buttocks where the body presses on the chair. The life that's found in the feet, in the hands, in the face, and the life that is found in every breath. And the breath manifests in sensations in the nostrils and in the rising and falling of the chest and abdomen. Picking one of these and going deep. And we're just letting the breath breathe itself. This is not the time for new and improved breathing or yogic breathing. This is time for letting the world be exactly as it is. And so we practice bare attention. Attention without interpretation, without judging. Letting the breath breathe itself. And in exactly the same way that we allow the breath to breathe itself, we allow the mind to be as it is. If thoughts arise, simply notice thoughts. If there's a mood present, acknowledge the mood. And ever so kindly and gently but firmly as well, come home to and climb into the sense of breathing. The miracle of awareness is very obvious, but we don't think to look for it. The next time your mind wanders, notice what happens. Awareness is gone. Mindfulness is gone. The old conditionings are automatically running. And then, unprovokedly, awareness winks on. Mindfulness is present. Did, quote, you do that? Or did it arise spontaneously? One view, one perspective on meditation is that it's up to you. You have to wake yourself up. Another, the exact opposite, is that awakening is happening through you. And all you need to do is cooperate. It's like the coming of springtime. Something wants to wake up, and you are the vehicle for it. Coming home to yourself, to the breathing of this moment. becoming as intimate as possible with life, embracing the sensations of breathing as if they were an old friend you haven't seen for a long time appearing in your life again. Each breath arises out of nowhere. It doesn't exist, and then it does. And then the breathing in results in expansion of the chest and abdomen all the way to fullness. And then there's the decline, and then it slowly disappears, and then it vanishes. Just as there is inner weather, there is outer weather. We are part of a great planet and interlocking causes and effects. You may find the mind filled with one or several of the 5 hindrances. If that's the case, then turn awareness to them. Notice the mind that's filled with desire, that's wanting. The present moment is not satisfying enough, so there's wanting for more pleasure, more something. Or the mind that is rejecting something, which is aversive, disliking, pushing against, hating. Or the mind which is restless and agitated, jumping from one object to another. Or the mind in sleepy dullness, in sloth and torpor, where it's hard to stay conscious at all. Or the mind of doubt, despair, dispiritedness. Why bother doing this anyway? Nothing works. Maybe I can't do it. Maybe the teachings are flawed. Making room in the heart for all of these visitors. Acknowledge them for what they are. Come home to breathing when you can. No battle. If pleasure arises, maybe simply the pleasure of a mind more at ease, notice it, bask in it, delight in it. If there's pain or discomfort, notice that. Embrace it. Open to it. Notice any disliking that's there. It's such a relief to face directly into reality, to not have to put up the walls of compartmentalization and fear. To make the commitment to take refuge in the Dharma, in what's here, what's really true in this moment. Noticing the transience of all experience. It's not about thinking about it. Noticing that characteristic of breathing in and breathing out, which is singing of impermanence. These words, when they appear, and their meanings come into being and then disappear. From the small, frightened individual self perspective, this can be scary. But when we pull up the anchor and set sail into the universe of our lives, anicca is such a relief. Oh, I don't have to try to make the unstable stable. And now coming into the body, noticing anywhere that it may be stiff. And then granting permission to yourself to stretch a little bit. To find the places of tightness and reclaim some room to live in today. Take a conscious deep breath or two, and then bringing this mysterious capacity of intention and awareness to the eyes. Notice the intention to allow them to open, and then open them. Notice what happens. Conditions change and suddenly there's seeing. Seeing and knowing it, not just seeing. I'm opting for a change of plan today. I had a little intuitive moment, and I want to share a little slideshow with you. That's not it. This is it. Share this. There it is. There is a song in the background of the slideshow, which is by Paige and Adrian, dear Dharma friends and fellow teachers, and now in Vancouver. For our wedding, I gave them 2 lines, "You are my one and you are my beloved," and then they created that song, which I put behind this. Oh, wait a minute. That's not right. I have to go back one thing. I have to go back. Stop share. Okay, now share. Share computer sound. There we go. Photos. This. So this is by way of reminding us of our beautiful physical home at PIMC. Play slideshow. Oh, it may take a moment to download. It does this each time. Ken Burns.
Your love is fire igniting fire, the spark of new conceived desire. When I'm a seed in frozen soil, you are a ray of eternal.
I'm going to pause for a moment and see if the download will catch up. Oh dear, how funny. This is the slideshow with poor eyesight. All right, I'll try it now. There we go. Oh, frustrating.
You are a shower, cool and bright, that springs with nourishing delight. A precious gift. You are the air that holds the fragrance of all the flowers I have grown. You are my beloved. You are my one. You are the air that holds the fragrance of all the flowers I have grown.
No, it's not going to do it.
You
Oh, well. Maybe it's like that because we can't go there right now. Oh, well, I'm going to have to get those. I've got so many pictures, I don't store the whole picture on my computer. It's stored up in the cloud. But I'll get those downloaded to be solid. So what's the time? I think... Let me think. Yeah, let me do the little Dharmet. Brief, very brief, on this. If it's here, it's here. Get rid of this. So this is a map of awakening. Setting out on the inner journey with the neurotic, crazy mind, we discover that we have something to do in that we encounter the hindrances of sensual desire, aversion, ill will, restlessness, agitation and worry, sloth and torpor and doubt. And there's a lot of these. We learn to see them, and this is the key point. We learn to perceive the hindrances not as I, me, and mine, but as phenomena that are occurring. And so we go deeper and deeper into them by way of studying them, so that when they arise, we don't get blown off center. We just realize, oh, here, it's a windy morning. That's what's happening today. And then we choose some meditation object, and there's any number of meditation objects. We tend to use the breath as the foundational one. But there are visualizations, there are mantras, there are mudra, that you can do conscious movement. And then, and this is the piece I wanted to get to, and then there's this, which is the next. Here it is. If we're going to, is it here? Maybe not. There it is. If we're going to really take our meditation deep, and our lives really deep, it really behooves us to understand the precepts. And the precepts are laws, not laws as in something that humans made up, but as in, like the law of gravity, the law of karma. Actions have consequences. And so some years ago, I wrote a part B to each of the 5 guiding precepts. And so for today, I'm just going to read them through as a beginning. 1. I undertake the training of the heart to refrain from taking the life of any living being. 1b. I aspire to become kind and of service to all beings. 2. I undertake the training of the heart to refrain from taking that which is not freely given. 2b. I aspire to become generous to all beings. 3. I undertake the training of the heart to refrain from sexual acts which cause harm. 3b. I aspire to nurture love, relationship, and beauty. 4. I undertake the training of the heart to refrain from false and harmful speech. 4b. I aspire to use speech to create happiness, harmony, and understanding. 5. I undertake the training of the heart to refrain from the use of intoxicants. 5b. I aspire to cultivate mindfulness and wisdom. So more to come on these, but I just wanted to lay that, and I will do my best to post this to the listserv and to my blog today. So there's the Dharmet. Please take a look on the website of all the various upcoming events, and let's continue with the precepts tomorrow. So now I'm going to open it up to you. how is your experience of today? And what are you noticing as this COVID-19 sheltering in place kind of thing is softening? I'm having an interesting response, which is of reticence to change. I of course, am in the incredibly privileged position that I haven't lost my job, and I haven't gotten sick. No one very close to me has gotten sick. But I've kind of gotten used to the pace, which is, I've been working more hours, but the not driving around has been really quite a relief. So I open it to your input. How is it today in your world, please? Simply unmute yourself if you wish to speak.
Hey, Robert. It's Tempest.
Tempest, hi.
You can't see me though. It's too dark.
But you're
I have
very
a question.
sparkly. I like sparkly.
I put the sparkly light there because you actually can't see the room. Um, I had a question actually about meditation, um, which is, so I do, when I'm working, I do a practice called Pomodoro, which is where, you set a timer, you work for a certain amount of time, then you take a break, and then you go back to work. And one of the techniques of this is you're supposed to concentrate on one thing at a time instead of trying to multitask,
Right?
which is very useful because yesterday a couple of people were talking about having ADHD and how that affected their meditation. I have it as well, and so this is the thing that helps keep me focused. And one of the things you're supposed to do is, if you're working on a task, you still have monkey mind, and so all these things pop in your head. I gotta do this. I gotta do this. So then you write down the things that pop in your mind so that you can go back to the task and you don't go off track.
Uh-huh.
And so sometimes when I'm meditating, I'm like, all these thoughts come up, and I'm like, oh man, I gotta email that person. Oh, I gotta do that thing. I gotta do that task. And every now and then I'm like, should I keep a notebook and just write these things down so I can get back to meditation? But I feel like that would be counterintuitive. So I was just wondering, like, how do you handle that drive, I guess you would say, to like try to keep track of everything that you remember you're supposed to do while you're supposed to be in the present moment?
Well, I guess the track that I have followed is experimentation. That my training in the Burmese model was very rigorous, and I would say rigid. And they would say, just sit there, note it, and note it vigorously. Notice wandering mind and come back to the breath. Notice that and come back to the breath. So that's one polarity. Another would be, every time something like that happens, you have your paper beside you and you take time to write it down, and then you come back. So there's indulge that or not indulge that. And I've tried everything plus down the middle. And the place that I found helped the most is, if something arises, if I remember something that I've been forgetting and it's really important, I actually will pick up my phone and dictate it. I just, hey Siri, remind me to do this tomorrow or at 10 o'clock this morning, because there are consequences to my not remembering it. And sometimes if there are obsessive thoughts, it really makes sense to take maybe another time and to sit down and write down the obsessive thoughts or self-hating thoughts, to write them down very carefully and contemplatively, and then put them aside. There's another practice that I did for a long time. I haven't remembered it in quite a while. Back in the old days, and they probably still do it, I did a lot of mountaineering. And we carried these little wands. They were little wooden, 15-inch long wands, and they had a little red flag on the top. And if we were concerned about finding our way back across an ice field or something, we would put in a series of these little wands, and then we could find our way back. If a whiteout came in. And so sometimes I've done if there's a wandering mind, I really want to remember it, I imagine putting a red flag in it. So there's any number of things to do. Ultimately, where we come to is note it and let it go. It's not worth hanging on to. And if it's important, with the belief, if it's important, it'll come back. That for now, this is my meditation time, and I want it to be so simple. I just want to let go of whatever arises, liking, disliking the 5 hindrances, thinking analytically. Just, I want to come back here and rest in the present moment. Now, all of those phenomena can be done with awareness, all the practices. So it's really an art form, this meditation. So however you're drawn to practice, try one way for a week or two and then try a different way.
Okay, that's really helpful. Thank you. Also, I like that metaphor of putting a flag on it.
Those little red flags. They've saved my life on one occasion or two.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Nice to quote see you. Oh, now I see you peeking over your light. Have a nice time at work, Amy. Hi, Budo. Here, come here.
Robert,
Adina, hi.
hi. I just I just got so sad when I you showed us the slideshow and I saw Ruth Denison and I saw the center in Portland and just this huge amount of sadness just came and I thought I was okay. I woke up this morning. I did practice some yoga and usually I listen to you on Facebook and I decided to sit down and attend Zoom and I feel like I'm just so sad and I miss everybody. I moved away from Portland a couple months ago and I miss Portland and I miss you, I miss the center and I miss everybody. I just wanted to feel.
Thank you for sharing your beautiful tears and sadness. Where did you move to?
I live in Everett, Washington.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
And moved in November, end of November. And I went back to Portland second weekend of March. I was excited to attend the IMC, and it was the first Sunday when you had to cancel the God Sunday.
Did you go and find it closed?
No, I actually my friend texted me not to go because it was closed. And I drove back. I stayed in Portland for the weekend, but I drove back and I figured I still have your retreat in Seattle in April and that got canceled as well.
Right.
It's okay, I'm able to see you and hear you every day, but just seeing the pictures of the center and seeing Ruth Denison and her beautiful face, I just don't know why all of a sudden I feel shaken up and sad. I'd like to share. Thank you.
Thank you, my dear. And really, thank you so much for sharing your feelings about it. It's we live in a very antiseptic culture where we're really not supposed to be emotional, and it's such a gift when you offer that to us. I have.
I want to say hi, and I'm here close to you in Woodinville, so don't feel so alone. And on the grief matter, I think for me, what's so interesting is that we don't know what emotion is going to come, right, in the moment. And yesterday in my practice, I was feeling so solid and really quite blissful, and then just huge waves of grief, and the tears just rolled for I don't know how long, maybe the whole time, rest of the time of meditation, and I just let it go. So, and then the day moved on, and that wave didn't come again. So it just shifts all the time.
I just remembered the four ennobling truths. And the first one, dukkha, birth, sickness, old age, decay, death. And then the categories, being with someone or someone's you don't want, and then not being with someone or someone's we want. It's such a huge part of human life. And it's based in impermanence. Sometimes we have to move away. Sometimes people die. Sometimes relationships, often relationships change radically. And there's great loss and great grief in those changes.
Hi, good morning. It's Jessica. I think what I was reminded in hearing those comments is that, you know, in the meditation when we're sitting and we get those waves of emotions, and they can be frustrating, but you go, oh, that's right. I can just come back to my breath. And what I found more challenging, but what I do at least begin to see, is when during the day and you're out and about and you're busy and a wave comes up, and sometimes it's so easy to go to that place of, oh my gosh, I'm so sad, what's wrong? And at least I'm trying, and part of it, Robert, is when you used to say, just plop. And I don't know that I always just plop when I'm smiling, but at least what I'm trying to help myself do is I go, oh, wait, remember, that's an emotion. That's not me. That's an emotion coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Get ready, here it comes. Try and just see it, try not to be it. And so I guess I just had that triggering thought when these lovely gals are sharing that, because yeah, it's a lot easier sometimes on the cushion. It's a lot harder during the day, but I'm beginning to see it, at least, to anticipate it and not just be consumed by it. So thanks.
Mm-hmm. There's a radical change that happens as we change our vocabulary. Rather than I'm sad, into, oh look, there's sadness. It's the breath, not my breath. It's the thoughts, not my thoughts. It's a strange way of thinking, but it's based in the truth.
Robert, it's Russell.
Hello, Russell.
And very briefly, in the early part of the meditation today, I was profoundly aware that I am awakening. It comes, it goes. But I had a sense of that more profoundly than ever. When you talk about awareness coming through us, that describes my experience, how weeks on and and departs.
Mm-hmm.
And I am so grateful for these sessions because I think they are accelerating or allowing, I'm not sure what the right word is, my own awakening. Because it removes the barrier of having to go somewhere and having to fit it in. I mean, part of it's the circumstances, but part of it is the ease of being able to join you and the Sangha to be present together. So, my gratitude to all of you.
Thanks, Russ. Mm-hmm.
Robert?
I hear a voice.
Hello, it's Jennifer.
Jennifer, hi.
I have a question about that difference between being the sadness and seeing the sadness. Because my sort of underlying personality structure is avoidant. So I tend to shut down my emotions.
Right.
Or not even be aware of them. And I struggle sometimes to allow myself to really feel sadness without being. I feel like if I'm taking that step outward and becoming a little bit more objective and seeing it rather than being it, it feels almost like an avoidance strategy to me, and I struggle a bit to see the difference between those two things. I wondered if you could.
It's a very important and excellent observation. So one shorthand for that I use is you no doubt learned early in your life to compartmentalize certain feelings because they were overwhelming to who you were at that time. The child ego couldn't tolerate them and you would have gone mad. It just would not have worked. And so you developed a strategy, a defensive system against them. And then we bring that into our adulthood, and it's an old strategy which is no longer helpful, but is characterological. It's part of my or your personality. At some point, it behooves us to create enough inner and outer structure that we get to feel those feelings again in their 3D Technicolor, gut-wrenching, grief-releasing, rage-releasing fullness. And that's, in my world, that has come through therapy, and also on longer retreats, those things just break through. Now, if you could go on a retreat with some, in some traditions, and you'd be told that that's wrong and bad, and you shouldn't do that. That's true often on the Goenka retreats, the Vipassana retreats, as they call them. That the instructors, the teachers, aren't wise in. And it isn't always the case, but I've met quite a few people this was true for. They aren't wise in seeing the beneficial and important healing, enlightening action that is regression into those feelings, to actually have them mindfully. And then once we have access to them, and sometimes when they first come through, they're messy. Sometimes they feel like they're out of control, and that's why it's helpful to have good assistance. And then, once we have access to them, then we don't have to continue doing them. We then can feel them arise, and then they'll pass away. But we're not compartmentalizing anymore. We're actually opening to whatever arises. But there's a time which is messy, and it can take some time as we let these previously repressed emotions and perceptions also too sometimes. Is that making sense?
Yes, thank you.
It's another reason for having good spiritual friends, because we can have someone to approach and say, I'm feeling like crap today. Can I talk with you about how bad I feel? As opposed to, always think positive and never, don't indulge those bad thoughts. That's violent, actually.
Right, it is.
So when a feeling, let's say I was absolutely phobic of anger, and I had no idea I was so angry. Everyone in my life knew I was angry, but I didn't. And there was a whole progression that happened of encountering how much rage I had in me. I had no idea. And one of the practices was, when the slightest bit of irritation came up, I took that as my meditation object. And I discovered I was irritated all the time. But I didn't know that about myself, because I was a good boy. I was mommy's shining helper, and I wasn't going to be like my parents or my siblings, and so I got to be a dangerous person, actually, through that. The sicky, when one meets sicky sweet people, watch out for the knife.
I've recently become aware of an underlying current of kind of low-level irritability that's there almost all the time.
Aha!
Right? And it's not very comfortable.
No. Well, you shouldn't have it. Get rid of it.
That was my first instinct. And and subsequently, I think there's a bit of anxiety or not good enoughness underneath the irritability.
Aha.
I'm working with that.
Yeah. Setting a place at the table of your heart for those hidden, repressed parts of yourself it's such a loving act.
Thank you very much.
I think we have time for one more person to share, if someone would like to. I love this wind.
Hi, Robert. It's Lauren.
Hello, Lauren.
Could you comment on making irritability your meditation object?
Jennifer and I have very different mess tolerance levels, and it's not an uncommon thing in couples. And lately, we've been keeping the house cleaner than we usually do and neater. And this morning, I went to get my guitar, and we have a lovely wall of shelves that I built with a friend of mine, and it's very beautifully. Jennifer has placed everything in just exactly the right place, and I keep a capo and 2 or 3 guitar picks out of sight behind one of these little. Well, you can't see it from anywhere. And I went this morning, and they were gone. And I would describe it in a fit of orderliness. She once again took my guitar picks and put them in the drawer where they can go. And I had a moment of and that old pattern of irritation and irritability. And so it's so clear to me now there's nothing to be done about it. I'll just put them back there. It's a little territorial thing. But in that moment, it was an incipient. It could have in the periods in the past, it could have turned into conflict. Why do you always move my guitar picks? Well, it's messy. We could have had that stupid fight, but instead I was able to see irritability. And it was very small. It wasn't, and the same thing happens several times a day. There's something that happens that I have a little sense of, Yesterday I was very tired in the afternoon, and then I had another meeting, and then someone called a phone call that I had to call him back, and I didn't want to call back. I really didn't, but I knew I needed to, and there was a certain sense of, I don't want to do this, and so, but by observing that, I could kind of embrace it, and well, there's that, and so what if I feel that? I can still function. It's just an emotion, and it could be, and it was for me at a certain point. It can be the little piece. It's like the little piece of thread that's sticking up out of the ground, and I pull it, and it turns out to be a monster. And that was important it's been important, and probably will be again, to unearth the monsters. Oh, there's this. How's that? Useful?
Yes.
Yay. All right, back to the group picture. So, dear friends, lovely to be with you, as always. It's so, what a nice thing. What a nice thing to live in community like this, so close that we can get together easily. So is it the song or Yashakur? What would you like? Two fingers means Yashakur, one means the song. Let's see, we'll have a vote. One. The song, there's one. Oh boy. I think it's the song, folks. Here we go, you ready? And I'm going to try, after we sing, I'm going to see if I can play that slideshow if you want to watch it. All right, unmute. Oh, and let me not forget this. Please remember, if these broadcasts are serving you and nourishing you, please nourish your Dharma Center. Go to the website and find the way to make a contribution. And the best thing to do, of course, is monthly giving, because that really lets us budget. And it's such a nice feeling in the heart to support something you really love and believe in. So now, I think, are we unmute all? There it is. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Happy Friday. The mother with the kids are playing. Bye.
Continue, share screen. Oops. Stop share. Trying. Share on. Share computer music. There we go. Share. This. Play slideshow. Oh, I don't know. We'll see. Here we go. I don't think so. Nope.
Your love is fire igniting fire, the spark of
All right.
desire.
See you tomorrow.
Seed and frozen soul. You are a ray of eternal sun. You are a shower cool and bright that springs with nourishing delight, a precious gift. You are the air that holds the fragrance of all the flowers I have grown. You are my beloved. You are my one.
Goodbye, dear friends on Facebook.